So the Tower of Babel was near completion when Enlil and his army came in their skyships and literally blasted the thing to pieces. And they couldn't allow humans to have that sort of power with spaceships or starships or rockets, and they couldn't allow Marduk to have a launch pad so he could go off and try and attack Guyana. Not saying that that's what they thought, but that's where I would be going with it. So they totally destroyed it, and Enlil was upset the fact that Marduk had managed to get various clans, Aegis, humans, etc. So he said, they all speak one language. I will change this. So over a period of time, he taught them different languages and forced them to learn different languages so that they wasn't able to communicate with other factions, and that is the Tower of Babel. Marduk went back to the land that he had before he was banished, and his brother Ningazida was in charge there now. And before Marduk went away, he said to him, Ningazida, look, do this, do that, do this, do that. But when he finally turned back, arrived, bearing in mind it was probably a couple of thousand years later, Ningazida hadn't done pretty much anything that his brother had told him to do. So Ningazida was told to bug off, and Ningazida said, no, I'm here now, it's my place. And so for 350 years they actually squabbled and made the place so sort of unlivable. I mean, it was virtually as you can see here, this type of thing where no vegetation was growing and stuff. Eventually Enki, their dad, came along and said, Ningazida, for peace, go away and let Marduk have this place. I've mentioned the Anunnaki and Enki's MEs. Now, I think that's to do with a blueprint for DNA. So, in other words, you can create a type of person that you actually want. Now, these were given out in regions when the territories, the 4 territories, were given out to basically to the humans, even though the Anunnaki was still in charge. That's when they was teaching us, and some of these MEs were given out for specific roles, such as kings, priests, musicians and stuff like that, and each one obviously had a different role. Now Elon Musk actually talks about DNA and RNA, the stuff that people's putting in their arms at the moment, how that you could actually switch someone to a butterfly or a caterpillar, as I think his words were. So it's not inconceivable that the MEs were in fact designed for specific rulers or people in history. Is there a doctor in the house? And the reason why I'm asking is this is an elongated skull, a genuine elongated skull that doesn't have certain sutures that humans do. And if you look at it compared to this person here, I'm thinking that the skulls that we found are not as big as an 8-foot Anunnaki. So every time you look at these skulls, when people were showing them, they don't seem to be as big as an 8-foot person or an Anunnaki. So I'm just curious, I'm not an expert, so as a doctor, would you say that that is the same proportions as a 6-foot man, for example, or would you say that that actually then would make an 8-foot Anunnaki? Now I'm thinking it's probably the Aegis, because obviously they were young adults, or demigods these could be. So anyone got any ideas? The creator of everything is real, according to Enlil again. This time he had another meeting with Gao Zu, who could have been the messenger of the creator of everything, or the actual creator of everything himself. Now, Gao Zu spoke to Enlil in a dream and told Enlil of forthcoming events, and such as who's going to be placed in what position of power on Earth, etc., etc. But one of the most disturbing was there was going to be a catastrophe war like no other. And to me, I kind of read into that if the creator of everything gets involved in a war, it's got to be a pretty bad one. Now, in the morning, Enlil woke up, wasn't sure whether it was a dream or not, and didn't tell anyone. But as the future progressed, all the things that Gao Zu had told him were coming true, including the war. So keep watching and I will describe the war in detail.